Hello. We just want to talk about this issue, agent observability. Um, so we've added quite a bit of observability to CAS, uh, which proved to be super helpful, super useful. We have tracing, lots of tracing, quite a few metrics, and Google Profiler as well, which is also quite useful actually. We also send errors to Sentry. So we should probably do the same for the agent. Actually,
Mhm.
that should also be here probably. Um, Maybe not, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think if it's error reporting from agent, we have to be careful about sensitive information, but not sure if it's related, but
I
it could
think,
be.
yeah, I think this can be, well, the intention with error reporting is not to send it to GitLab. It's to send it to the customer's Sentry.
Oh.
And the same with everything else. The intention is to send all this data to the customer's observability backends. And when we add Dog4j in the agent, we can send to our own backends. So we could configure all the agents that we Dog4j to send Sentry errors to a special Sentry project so that we can see what's happening. And the same with traces and metrics.
Mhm.
Yeah, because we have some bug reports, and we just don't have enough data to understand what's going on. So, and all those problems happen not only in customers' environments, but also with our own agents. So we can totally just enable those observability things and get more data to help with the problems that we see. So Timo has already added the Google Profiler to the agent, and so we need tracing and metrics. So do you have specific questions about this, or what do you want to talk about here?
Um, yeah, so we already have the metrics for CAS, but not for the agent. So what what kind of metrics is useful for ourselves and also the users?
Um, for well, we already maybe not, but we have things like HTTP endpoints, HTTP clients, gRPC clients. They all can be instrumented with off-the-shelf instrumentation libraries, and those traces and metrics can be exposed and exported. And that's where we should start, I think. And on top of that, we of course can add extra metrics, extra traces, and so on.
I
In
see.
fact, some of our uh, like gRPC clients, for example, are already instrumented with both tracing and metrics. We just uh, don't send this data anywhere, and there's no way to configure where to send it to in the agent. So that's the task in this issue, to add configure to make it possible to configure the sinks for the data,
Oh,
And
so it's
then
already instrumented, but
not
there's
not
no way to.
everything, not
Oh,
everything,
okay.
but some of it is already instrumented, yes.
Mm,
But yes, there is no way to configure it.
I see. And did you say configure to sync the data? So sync to
To send the data, yeah.
send the data to somewhere like Prometheus, or for example,
To traces should go to OpenTelemetry collector,
Winter.
and metrics should be exposed as a Prometheus endpoint because
Mm,
that's what people use. I mean, OpenTelemetry, of course, has um, a way to export metrics in the native format, but most of people use Prometheus. This can actually be configurable.
mm.
And the interesting thing here is that this configuration cannot be in the agent configuration file because this file comes from the repository when everything has started already. So
Ah,
yeah, it has to come from some other place like command line flags or environment variables.
oh, I see. Mm. Do you so if we have if we configure the agent to sync the data, then those data are synced to GitLab outside, or users like custom place that they can sync. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's depending on user. Is that
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Mhm. I see. And do you have any idea about tracing? Um, I'm I'm not sure about tracing. Like what what do we have to do with this issue about the tracing?
Yes, I do have an idea about tracing. So this is CAS. You can pretty much just look at how what CAS is doing, how CAS is set up, apart from the initial configuration. But all that
Yes.
plumbing is here. Like you construct the resource that this identifies the source of metrics, which is CAS in this case, and version of CAS, and so on. And then you can construct the metrics provider, the meter provider, and the tracing uh, exporter, SDK like tracer provider, propagators, and whatever, everything else. uh, yeah, pretty much same stuff as this. And then this can be injected everywhere where it's needed. gRPC clients, HTTP clients, HTTP servers, gRPC servers. Uh, that's it, probably.
I see. Mm.
So in agentk, you actually can already see that. Yeah, there are to-dos here, and this is the propagator. It is what is used to actually propagate the trace ID and other things. And we already set up this, the handler, the so we already have the instrumentation here, for example, for this client, for
Mhm.
this gRPC client. And we just don't have. This is a noob trace provider, and this is also a noob metric provider. Yep.
I see.
So we need to replace that and ensure that they're used everywhere where they can be used.
I see.
We should also instrument a Kubernetes client, client getter. I'm not sure how to do this, but
yeah, I remember that metrics are exposed as like string from the server, right? But how about the tracing? Tracing is also something exposed from the server or sent to somewhere.
So Prometheus Prometheus's way to expose metrics is to have an HTTP endpoint that is
Yes.
scraped by the scraper, but yeah, Prometheus scraper. And in OpenTelemetry, it's the other way around. The application goes and makes a call to send data. And data here is traces, metrics, and anything else that it needs to send. So it's push versus pull. Prometheus is pulling and pulling, and OpenTelemetry is a push-based protocol. So the application pushes data to the collector. Yeah, that's the difference. But in CAS, we actually oops. I maybe I don't need to find it. Yeah, so this is how we so this is a way to expose OpenTelemetry metrics as Prometheus metrics. Yeah, like a bridge between the OpenTelemetry and Prometheus. And then for that Prometheus thing registry, we have the endpoint somewhere that observability. Anyway, yeah, here we expose it as the HTTP endpoint.
I see. So for the tracing, it looks like we have to push the data, right? So I'm asking because when you develop locally, how do you verify? Well, how do you develop? Because so do you prepare somewhere to receive the data so that you can verify what?
So a good question. We had a setup with Pavel from observability team where he started a trace environment for me where I could send data to and look at it, but I don't use it. Instead, I used the exporter that just prints to the standard out, basically.
Oh,
But I also don't use it now. I just add so for tracing, I just add spans and you just add spans. There's no nothing can go wrong there. So you kind of just start it and see that it doesn't crash, which it never does,
Mhm.
because of the tracing changes, and that's it. For metrics, you can actually start it and go to the slash metrics endpoint. Let's try that. Yeah, I was editing something there. I was working on that temporal integration. So visiting point is up. This is the metrics. So for metrics, you can just look at them here. So this is my metrics, and this is some metrics that come from OpenTelemetry. So that's how you
Yeah.
test it, basically.
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
That's
Yes.
what I do. I don't know.
All right.
But with OpenTelemetry, you either send the data somewhere and then look at it in that system, or you print it to standard out. But that's a lot of garbage that is hard to read for a human being. So you can roughly see what's there, but it's just too much text to process. But if you just added one thing and want to see what it is, if it's there, and yeah, you can just search the output for some string.
I see. Like roughly, how do you stood out like those HTTP requests? Uh, is there any ways to do it?
Are you talking about this endpoint or what other HTTP requests?
Oh, I'm not sure. That's tracing, and then you can check the text by stood out. No, I
You
thought
mean
you.
how do I send requests to see what happens? Or
Yeah, I thought you are talking about like stood out and to check the text. But how did you do it? Like,
okay. Uh, um, I don't remember because I done it like once and it worked, but because it's a lot of JSON that it prints, it's not very
mm,
useful. So I've never done this again, but it can be done. Mm, maybe no, not here. So this is the exporter, and this is where we are constructing the exporter, and this is hotel trace HTTP exporter. Sends tracers using HTTP, as you can see. But if we go here, there is also, it's probably in a separate package somewhere. Actually, we can probably go to, so this is exporters. Let's just go there. Exporters, standard out. So there is a
oh,
exporter for metrics and for tracing. So you can just do this. Oh, it's not my one. Need no tracing exporter, and I mean you can just do this. It's the name of the module. Without tracing, can't find it. So, hmm, what's wrong with it? It's a very odd version as well. I know. Okay. Okay. Now it's there. So yeah, that's your exporter that can be used as a span exporter.
Mm-hmm.
It implements this interface, as you can see, span export. Yeah, and then it would just print. And we can test it like this.
Mm.
Don't
We
care. Well, maybe I do care. I don't know, maybe there's something wrong there. But for testing, this is fine, obviously. Exporter. And we can maybe look at some options. But there's probably nothing that, yeah,
mm-hmm.
say pretty print. And then we can, this checks, we can just move it here basically to leave this alone and not mess with it. And just move it here and comment this everything out. There's other things. Okay.
Mm.
Okay. What?
What? Oh yeah. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is how you configure the exporter. Let's just start and see what happens. It
I
should
see.
immediately print things. No, okay. It's not printing things because there's nothing, no activity. So we can start an agent so that it connects to CAS and then CAS will do something like call GitLab, call GitLab, and so on. That should start printing things. Kubernetes is not running, but yeah, you can already see it's
Oh
dumping.
yes.
You see, there's lots of things like,
Yeah.
and it hasn't done much. It's just one agent connected, and but this is this is traces from
Mm.
OpenTelemetry.
Oh, but this is great for development.
Yeah, you can see spans and what they do, what they refer to,
Mm.
and so on and so on. So yeah, that's how you send stuff to standard out. I mean, and you can actually send it to a file if you want using that writer, and then if you inject
Mm.
a file writer, then you can yeah send the data to a file.
Oh, that's nice too.
And
That's nice.
the same for metrics as well. But Prometheus is pretty readable. Like this is pretty okay, I think.
Yeah, I think this is very useful. Yes. But thanks. Yes, I didn't know there's some stood out exporter. So we use it, and then yeah, we can check the stood out string text. Looks great.
It should be, I mean, it should be possible to start a local, some sort of local OpenTelemetry collector that, and maybe with some simple backend, sorry, not backend, front end UIs of some sort that can show you the data just for testing. I don't know. There should be something. Yeah, I think I actually used the collector to, rather than exporting to standard out directly, I think I initially set up the collector and I was sending data to collector, and then that collector was printing to standard out. That's how I set it up. But yeah, maybe there is a UI as well you can use, because this is not very useful to look at all this JSON.
Okay, but looks like at least when I add new trace point, then maybe yeah, I can check if it works or not. So yeah, that's very helpful.
Yeah, I think the question is how to configure the agent for this. I think environment variables is probably the way to go for this, because the file is downloaded much later and we cannot dynamically change instrumentation. It just doesn't make sense, I think. I mean, we could, but it's not worth it.
Okay, yeah. I think environment variable is, yes, I think it's good.
And actually, OpenTelemetry specification itself defines some environment variables that OpenTelemetry SDKs use. So some of it is already there implemented. We just maybe need to look at some specific variables if we need them for something. But yeah, maybe we can just use the OpenTelemetry SDK.
Okay.
I think there is a separate module or something like auto configuration or something like this. I don't know. Maybe it's here. Auto export and no docs. What is this? No docs.
Yeah.
There's a doc.
Export.
Go, okay. Exporter factory functions. Yeah, default environment variable support. That's what I'm talking about. Exactly what I'm talking about. So there is some code that looks at some environment variables and configures. But this thing, why is it in the init? I mean,
init?
Yes, it kind of defeats the purpose. It's a library. Why they are just registering a global thing.
Mm,
What
mm.
does this do actually? Register metric. It's metric signal. What is metric signal? Signal registry store metric exporter. What is music? Ah, it's a type. Yeah, I don't know. What is this? Maybe it's okay, but yeah, basically this is the docs.
Mm-hmm. So we set this environment variable so that they will push those tracing information to the configured environment variable host and maybe domains. So that, yeah,
So
protocol.
maybe this is how it's supposed to be used. Yeah, the span exporter, that's the thing. So it looks at environment variables, it looks at how to send data, and mhm. Um, so this probably is the library that we want to use.
Mm-hmm. You configure, right? Okay.
Yeah, I think I misunderstood initially. This is not configuring the global metric provider, it's just registering things in the factory. Not factory, registry, sorry. Yeah, this is fine. So it already supports Prometheus, Known, OTLP, and just a metric reader. Register, wait, was something else. Span exporter. Ah, okay. So it supports metrics and spans, and it supports OTLP, and it supports protobuf and gRPC. Protobuf
Mm-hmm.
over HTTP and gRPC. Yep. So yeah, we can just import this and use that to get the span exporter that is configured using environment variables. I think this is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we need. Let's add a link to this. Cool. I think this is it.
Yeah.
And Sentry Yeah, we can. Yeah, this can also come from an environment variable, I think.
Hmm.
Again, we can just look at what Cas is doing, but instead of using configuration file, allow the user to set those parameters using environment variables.
Yes. Hmm. All right.
I need to go. Thank you so much.
Okay. Yes. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Talk to you later. How do I stop recording?